Hello, Riven mains and Yasuo mains alike. Way of Life Esports. I'm the Nightwing, coming at you guys with another League of Legends video. Cloud9 take down CLG 3-1 to claim their first spot in the LCS 2019 Summer Split Finals. It felt so bittersweet last split when they were up 2-0 against TSM, and then Cloud9 got reverse sweeped as they are the reverse sweepers. Now, today, going into this series, I felt like Cloud9 had the edge because of their solo laners. Yes, the bot lane had been struggling, but I do feel like the bot lane found a better footing in the last few games of the split, leading into their little win streak that they had. They had like a 4-game winning streak where I felt like the bot lane was actually performing very well. CLG also had a lot to prove in this series as well, as they had been at the bottom of the standings for the LCS for what it seems since spring 2017. No, it hasn't been since spring 2017. It's been since spring 2018 since they've been literally at the bottom, because the last decent split they had was when they had faced Dignitas in the third place match back in summer 2017, and then they had previously before that lost to Immortals, and then Immortals went to go face on TSM during that split. So CLG also, after having a really nice comeback after so many splits, get to the semifinals once again. They had a pretty easy series against Optic Gaming last week, and then we had Cloud9 having the bye because Cloud9 took down CLG in their tiebreaker game. Now, what was super interesting is that when I was watching the games, is that before even the games even loaded in, you see Reapered with Reignover as opposed to Reapered and Rapidstar, which I think that's very good because I feel like Reignover has a lot to offer in the in-game knowledge, and I feel like that Reignover is just going to help Svenskeren out in terms of pathing a lot more effectively. Reignover and Svenskeren, wow, it feels so ironic that they're on the same team together, because Reignover, he was on Fnatic when Svenskeren was on SK Gaming back in 2015, and then that Fnatic went to beat Cloud9, and then that same Cloud9 beat Fnatic during that year when Fnatic went 18-0, and then you also had now Reignover coaching the team that he beat. It's just all crazy, you know, and he's back here with Reaper and helping with the draft phase. And that's really interesting because game 1 was a complete shellacking. So I'll just give my complete thoughts and opinions on this series. Actually, I think it was close. It didn't need to be as close as it was, and I'm not gonna come off like some biased fan. Obviously, you guys know me. I'm the most non-biased person ever. I'm only kind of biased when it comes to predictions because I want the best for my team, and I obviously want them to play at the best level that I know they can play. You're telling me this only North American organization made top 4 at Worlds last year. You just have to hold them to a certain standard differently than the other orgs, and I do that. And if that comes off as bias, then I mean, I guess I don't really care personally, because I'm not going to hold them to the same standard that I hold FlyQuest, because that just would be ridiculous, now would it? Because we know they're a lot better than what they show. We know they can reach finals, and we know they have now the possibility of finally winning a title. Now that is going to depend on their opponents, you know, tomorrow with Clutch playing up against Team Liquid. You know, Clutch have their little momentum going into that, and then TL obviously have the big dominance going into that as well. There's a lot of things going into that series as well, and I'll be talking about that series tomorrow as it unfolds, and Cloud9 will get their opponent. So let's go with Cloud9 and CLG. Game 1 was a complete shellacking, dominant game, kind of like I predicted. So what I predicted going in, if you watched the podcast on Thursday, and then you watched it on Friday, if you didn't check it out, the podcast with me and Hedgie, is that I talked about if C9 win game 1, CLG's mentality will literally crumble in the next game, because I've seen that with them. I feel like that when they start losing, all the players, and you can kind of see it on their faces, they kind of just lose it. Like, I don't know how to explain it, and people always ask me, go more in depth. How can I go more in depth with something that I don't understand, but I can feel it. Like, you can tell by their facial expressions, you can tell by their, plays in the game that when they start losing, they just don't really know how to really get back into a position that's in a winning direction. When it's like Cloud9 is losing, you always kind of feel like the game is still going, like they can do something. And I'm not saying they're the only team that can do that, obviously, but you can kind of always feel that they're willing to try something even if they're losing, and that showed in Game 4. Now, coming off of Game 1, we have PoE on the Karma pick, which he got demolished by Niski's Quenya. We also had, Licorice just demolishing, Ruin in just every aspect in every single game. Yes, Ruin kind of had a good thing going into Game 3 with the Jace pick when they would trade favorably, but it really did feel like Licorice was overall the better player. Then you kind of factor in CLG's bot lane, I think played really well. I think CLG's bot lane played great. I had Biofrost and Stixxay closer into my all-pro teams. I really wish I could have put Stixxay in there, but I feel like the other players during the split just played a lot better than he did, even though he played really well himself. CLG's bot lane is their strongest suit. You knew that going into the series about them being the strong suit because you knew that they could be a lane that CLG could play through. The issue with CLG is I feel like that when they lost Game 1 because they let Cloud9 just kind of just do whatever, they literally did almost the exact same thing Game 2, except they were trying to fight back. Now, in Game 2, I like it when teams try to do some different stuff in best of fives to, try and shake it up. Power of Evil goes top lane with Syndra, and then Ruin goes mid lane with his Akali. The issue with doing that is it's kind of just the players. It's not like they're personal skillable. I'm not saying Power of Evil couldn't pull off a top lane Syndra, and he did it. He went 2-6 or something like that, right? It's just the fact that Ruin can't communicate effectively like Power of Evil can. And yes, you do get more advantageous matchups, but if Ruin can't, effectively communicate with the bot side of the map, which is the strongest part of their team, then how is he going to really impact the game? I felt like after Licorice and Niski solo killed them both, they were like, God dang it, we're probably going to lose this game too. They do fight back very effectively, but overall Cloud9's team fighting really does get them over during the Game 2. Now, Game 3 is probably going to be the more controversial one. After Game 3, you pretty much think the series is over. It's over. Beat them 3-0. They're washed up. Let's just the clock strikes midnight on them, and then after that, Cloud9 just go home, and the series is over. You go to the finals, right? Well, they have a different story. So C9 opt into this Draven composition, and Sneaky surprisingly plays really well in the Draven. CLG just felt like they just lose everything. They literally lose everything, and it's at the point where they're close to the last Nexus turret, and then right as they're sieging it, and they could just, Talia wall. Here's what they should have did. Should have just Talia walled. Zeyzal puts the black shield on Sneaky, because that is the ADC. Licorice will survive. He's an Aatrox with the revive, and he's a tank. And then you take down the turret, and you hit the Nexus, and then you win. The reason why I say they could have just hit the Nexus and won was because in Game 1, when CLG lost so bad, they were afraid to fight, and they just let C9 hit their Nexus. That's why I got confused when I was like, okay, this series is done. It's over. And then, obviously, you get to the point where Stixxay gets a triple kill, and then C9 still could have won the game, but they effectively get flanked. PoE finds a lot of good solo kills on the Quenya. I feel like PoE's mind just wasn't in it today. Yeah, he played better in the other games, I'll give him that, but you could just tell by his facial expressions and how the team just probably had a bad week of scrims against every other team, where it just kind of felt like Cloud9 was going in with a lot of momentum because their scrims might have been going very well. It just kind of felt like CLG just weren't really playing as a cohesive unit. A lot of people were just trying to do their own thing. So right after that comeback, CLG pulls off the biggest comeback of the split. C9 had a 10k gold advantage before they would have actually end the game, and leave it to Cloud9 to throw a 10k gold advantage, right? Only in North America, right? So yeah, after that game, we go into Game 4. It's back and forth basically from like minute 1. They go back and forth. Everybody trades kills. Licorice dies early on to Ruin. He's like, you just see his face. He's like, man, oh no, the C9 reverse. It's the reverse sweep coming again. Later on, they try fighting again, and Licorice gets the better of him in that trade. You have the mid lane 2v2 going in finally in the way of CLG as Power will gets a double kill on his Orianna. He goes to the Orianna in this game. Stixxay plays his patented Caitlyn. That same Caitlyn where he was demolishing people in the 2016 MSI. Yes, he got his Caitlyn pick, and Stixxay played really well today, and so did Biofrost. I will give them the utmost credit. They played great. Only if they had a top side of the map, they probably would have won. But nonetheless, the game goes back and forth. C9 loses a fight mid. Licorice takes a tower. Then after that, CLG gets the Baron. C9 pull off one flank on them. Game goes back to even. They have another fight. People die. CLG's about to, get closer and closer to ending the game. C9 pull off another flank. It gets to the point where C9's dragons are stacking up. Right after that, Niski pulls off the first flank. Then after that, C9 when that get their Baron, and then after that the game gets stalled out. They take a lot more turrets. Licorice is playing so well that he's applying so much pressure that it almost takes 3 members, legit 3 members, to almost come and stop him. That's why I say he played incredible, and I really do feel like he should have been named the MVP of the series because he actually exerted so much pressure. And I know some people go like, why do you rate him so high? If you understand how good he actually plays in the game, pressure, 1v1 potential. He not only starves his lane opponent at certain points, he can win the lane and dominate the game. The way he impacted the game and the way he impacted the series, he's my player of the series, actually. Niski played good too. Also, Svenskeren still should be the MVP of the split, even watching this series. And then it also kind of felt like after a few flanks, CLG were like, man, we're really losing it here. Then at a certain point, C9's composition starts to come online. You have the Sivir, and you obviously have the Kled, who's just massively far ahead of the top lane Akali. Even though Stixxay was getting picked off in a lot of fights, I felt like he played a lot more. He played a lot better this series, actually, and that gives me a lot of confidence going into the finals that he can hold his own, and Zeyzal can obviously hold their own against a lot of people. And right after that last flank, CLG and C9 AD carries before this last fight happens. They sell their GAs, or no, Sinking never gets a GA, sorry. Stixxay sells his GA, they're full crit, one last fight, C9 march it down and win the game, and C9 wins 3-1. They're going to the finals, but I do want to give some props to CLG. They had a really strong bot lane. The bot lane knew their win conditions, but I don't feel like that the CLG top side knew their win conditions, and their win conditions were harder to pull off, obviously, because it's obviously solo laners, but I do feel like the solo laners got massively outclassed today. They got destroyed today. It wasn't even funny how badly they got destroyed. Yes, it was more of the series of Cloud9's to lose it than CLG's to win it, if you can understand what I'm saying. Let me get a drink. Because if Zeyzal puts the black shield on Sneaky and Niski uses his Talia wall to wall off CLG's team as they're respawning in game 3, we're talking about a 3-0. So that's why I'm saying it's more of a C9, you're losing the series rather than CLG's to win it. Although players perform relatively well, if I had to pick the worst player, sadly it's going to be my boy Sneaky. He did play the worst out of all of them, but he played decently in my own personal opinion. Licorice is the player of the series in my own personal opinion. You guys will probably choose whoever you want, obviously. Gameplay, I think they need to fix their little bit of their over-eagerness, because, you don't want that game. You don't want that. Imagine if they're at Worlds and say they're in a group with like Fun plus Phoenix or Griffin, right? And let's say they're beating Griffin or Fun plus Phoenix, and let's say that exact game is a best of 1, and that game is a game you need to get out of the group. I don't want them losing a game like that because they're just a little bit over eager to end the game. When the game's over, all you have to do in that position is just take your time. You already won. All you have to do is just play the little simplest steps correctly, and you can win the game. That's what I'm trying to say. It's good to get those games out of the way now so that they don't happen later on. For CLG, they go to the 3rd place match. Obviously, their winner, who they'll face in the 3rd place match, will obviously be chosen after tomorrow's result. Looking at CLG's bot lane, that's a good bot lane, and right now even if I was going into a 3rd place match to get points for Worlds, I would still be scared of CLG. The fact that, they can pull off a good Game 3 comeback in a best of 5 shows some life about their team, actually. So that's it. Cloud9 are going to the finals. I predicted in the C9 Facebook group that C9 were going to win the split. So I'm pretty much not even halfway there at this point. I am knocking on the door of the trophy that we are going to be holding in our hands after we crush whoever's going to be in the finals. Now, and that's pretty much it. See you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe. Most of all, enjoy. I'm the Nightwing, and this is Way of Life Esports signing out. Let's see who's going to face Cloud9 tomorrow after the TL and Clutch Gaming Series. Peace out, League Summoners. Bye.